हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण। हरे कृष्ण। ये फैन बंद करो। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, गोपी जना वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी, जय गोपी जना वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी, जय यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजना, यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजना, यमुना तीरा वनचारी, यमुना यमुना तीरा वनचारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय ओम विश्वपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शिला प्रभुपाद की। जय ओम विश्वपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद शिल भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज शिला प्रभुपाद की। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि श्री गौर भक्त वृंद की। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिराज गोवर्धन की। ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की। नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की। पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की। गंगा माई की, जमुना माई की, भक्ति देवी की, तुलसी महारानी की, समवेद भक्त वृंद की। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 1, Text number 16. Swayam dhanurdvari nidhaya mayam भ्रातुपुरो मर्मसुताडितोऽपि स इत्थम् अत्युबल्ल कर्णबाणेर् गता व्यथो यद् उरुमानयानः स्वयं धनुर्द्वारि निधाय मायाम् भ्रातुः पुरो मर्मसुताडितोऽपि स इत्थम् अत्युबलबाणकरदाणेर् गता व्यथो यद् उरुमानयानः स्वयं धनुर्द्वारि निधाय मायाम् भ्रातुः पुरो मर्मसुताडितोऽपि स इत्थम् अत्युल्बाणकर्णबाणेर् गतो व्यथा यद् उरुमानयानः स्वनुर्धनुर्धारि निधाय माया भ्रातुः पुरो मर्मसुताडितोऽपि स इत्थम् अत्युल्बाणकर्णबाणेर् गतो व्यथो य उरुमानयानः धनुर्धनुर्द्वारि निधाय मायाम् भ्रातुः पुरो मर्मसुताडितोऽपि स इत्थम् अत्युल्बणकर्णदाणेर् गतो व्यथा यत् उरुमानयानः. माताजी's स्वयं धनुर्द्वारि निधाय मायाम् भ्रातुः पुरो मर्मसुताडितोऽपि स इत्थम् अत्युबलनकर्णदाणेर् गता व्यथा यद् उरुमानयानः. Swayam, he himself, Dhanudvari, bow on the door, Nidhaya, keeping, Mayam, the external nature, Bhratuhu, brothers, Puraha, from the palace, Marmasu, in the core of the heart, Tadita, being afflicted, Api, in spite of, Saha, he, Vidura, Itham, like this, Ati Ulbana, severely, Karna, ear, Bane, by the arrows, Gata, Vyatha, without being sorry, Ayat, excited, Uru, great, Manayanaha, so thinking. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thus being pierced by arrows through his ears and afflicted to the core of his heart, Vidura placed his bow on the door and quit his brother's palace. He was not sorry for he considered the acts of the external energy to be supreme. Purport. A pure devotee of the Lord is never perturbed by an awkward position created by the external energy of the Lord. In Bhagavad Gita 3.27, it is stated, Prakrite kuryamanani gune karmani sarvashah ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate. A conditioned soul is absorbed in material existence under the influence of different modes of external energy. Absorbed in the false ego, he thinks that he is doing everything by himself. The external energy of the Lord, the material nature, is fully under the control of the Supreme Lord, and the conditioned soul is fully under the grip of external energy. Therefore, the conditioned soul is fully under the control of the law of the Lord. But due to illusion only, he thinks himself independent in his activities. Duryodhana was acting under such influence of the external nature, by which he would be vanquished at the ultimate end. He could not accept the sound advice of Vidura, but on the contrary, he insulted that great soul who was the well-wisher of his whole family. Vidura could understand this because he was a pure devotee of the Lord. In spite of being very strongly insulted by Duryodhana's words, Vidura could see that Duryodhana, under the influence of Maya, the external energy, was making progress on the path towards his own ruination. He therefore considered the acts of the external energy to be the supreme. Yet, he also saw how the internal energy of the Lord helped him in that particular situation. A devotee is always in a renounced temperament because the worldly attractions can never satisfy him. Vidura was never attracted by the royal palace of his brother. He was always ready to leave the place and devote himself completely to the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Now he got the opportunity by the grace of Duryodhana, and instead of being sorry at the strong words of insult, he thanked him from within because it gave him the chance to live alone in a holy place and fully engage in the devotional service of the Lord. The word gata vyatha, without being sorry, is significant here because Vidura was relieved from the tribulations which trouble every man entangled in material activities. He therefore thought that there was no need to defend his brother with his bow because his brother was meant for ruination. Thus he left the palace before Duryodhana could act. Maya, the supreme energy of the Lord, acted here both internally and externally. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajata Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Dakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Nama Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Imate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Avani Pracharine Paschatya Deshataranyam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So I welcome everyone for today's Srimad Bhagavatam class. So I seek the blessings of all the assembled devotees and the devotees who are watching this live telecast, so that I could speak something for my purification. So last few days we have been observing that illustrious speakers of Srimad Bhagavatam here have spoken on various aspects of Vidura's life, and I'll just continue with that. So in today's verse, there are 4 important aspects which I will take for discussion today. So in the verse, if you see, there is Mayam Uru, that means the supreme external energy of the Lord. The second aspect is Tadito Api, in spite of being afflicted. Karna Baner, arrows piercing the ears. And Gata Vyatha, without being sorry. All these aspects we will discuss with respect to today's verse. So, the supreme external energy of the Lord, we know that there are 2 energies. Actually, there are 3 energies, but primarily the material energy and the spiritual energy. So, Daivihi Yesha Gunamai Mayamava Duratya Mamayeva Prapadyanti Mayam Etam Tarantite. So, Krishna says that the divine energy of mine, Haribol. The divine energy of mind, consisting of 3 modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome. But those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. So, either we have to seek shelter of the material energy or this spiritual energy, that is Srimati Radharani. So, either of the places we have to land, or else we'll be in trouble. When we are in the material energy, then we will suffer. And when we are under the internal energy of the Lord, we will have pleasure. So, guna also means rope. So, we all are bound here in this material world with the rope of illusion. And someone who is bound with hands and legs cannot free himself by himself. That is why he needs external support, or someone who can help him to become free. And that can be done by the grace of the Guru or Lord Krishna himself. Even in the current month of Kartik, where we are discussing about Manigriv and Nalakovar, so they were also bound in their respective places as trees, and Krishna was also bound by Mother Yashoda to the grinding motor. Till that point, Krishna never thought of delivering the 2 trees. But when Krishna was bound, he realized that what problem they must be going through, what kind of pain and trouble they must be going through. And that is when Krishna realized that, okay, I will also now relieve them. But Krishna is not bound. Krishna is already liberated. He gives liberation. He is Mukunda. In Shvetashvatara Upanishad, it is mentioned that Tadem Viditva. Freedom is possible only by understanding about the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. Even Lord Shiva affirms this that liberation can be achieved only by the mercy of the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. Mukti pradata sarvesham Vishnur evana samshayah. So Srila Prabhupada used to always say that my devotees, my disciples are not fearful enough of Maya. They take it very casually. So taking Maya casually creates problems in our devotional as well as our material life. So here, in the case of Duryodhana, the Maya Shakti is acting from external point of view. From externally it is acting, due to which he acted egoistically. Whereas the same Maya Shakti is acting on Vidura internally, where his internal growth, his bhakti, his devotion, his maturity in Krishna consciousness is being projected. And where he is seeing that everything is being orchestrated by the Supreme Lord. And I should immediately exit this place and seek for the shelter of the Supreme Lord. Even when we see Draupadi was looking forward that her husbands would help her when she was being disrobed. But then finally she decided that I have to seek ultimate shelter of Sri Krishna. Kunti Maharani also prays that Vishan Mahagne Purushad Darshanad Asat Sabhaya Vanavasa Krichyata. So she is saying that my entire family, myself and my 5 children, we all have been tormented by the Kauravas, either by poisoning through a cake or putting us in the Lakshagraha and lighting the house, or by man-eater cannibals in the Asat Sabha where Draupadi was insulted. The sufferings which they went through during the exile period, and finally now at the battlefield. So she is saying that at current now you have saved us from the weapon of Ashwatthama also. So Kunti Maharani is expressing her gratitude to Krishna that because these challenges, these calamities were there in my life, that is why we could remember you. We could have your darshan again and again. Of course, it takes a lot of depth of devotion, then only we can offer such kind of prayers. So Srila Prabhupada, in the beginning of the purport, he mentions that the conditioned soul is absorbed in the material existence under the influence of modes of external energy. And this absorption is because of the false ego that I am the doer, I am the controller. He thinks that he is doing everything by himself, whereas everything is orchestrated by the modes as well as the karma. The Supreme Lord is controlling the entire universe, entire material creation through his agents. And the Maya Shakti as external energy directly interferes into every individual's life. And she tries to purify him so that he can come and take shelter of the Supreme Lord one day. Because we all have to one day realize that what is our constitutional position. Jivera Swarup Hoy Krishnera Nityadas. We have forgotten that astitva, that constitutional position, that we are servants of the Supreme Lord. And now we are trying to boss over the material nature. Wherever we are, we try to have some control. And because of that, birth after birth, we are suffering in this material existence. And this kind of controllership, this kind of bossing over is eventually because of the material attachments we carry. So we go to the next section of our discussion, that is Taditopi. That Vidura, in spite of being afflicted, but he was not attached to the facilities available in the palace. So if we see, the Bhagavad Gita begins not with a verse spoken by Arjuna or Krishna, It begins with Dhritarashtra Uvacha. Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yotsavaha Mamakaha Pandavaschaiva Kimakurvata Sanjaya. So Dhritarashtra is asking Sanjaya that what did my sons and sons of Pandu do? So Dhritarashtra, this word itself, if we split it, it means Dhrita. Dhrita means one is determined. And Rashtra means one who is attached to the throne. So Bhagavad Gita begins our journey with material attachments. We all are attached to our material things. Very subtle and gross things are there in our life through which we want to be enjoying in this material world. And the entire journey of Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna is speaking, Arjuna is asking, this entire conversation ends up in a way in the 18th chapter, where Krishna says that Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. Give up all your attachments, give up all your religious duties which you are following, and just surrender unto me. So, when we come into our spiritual journey, we also begin a journey with, on day one, with material attachments. And gradually, with the process of sadhana bhakti, we try to purify our existence, purify our heart. And eventually, at one point of time, we all develop spiritual attachment or asakti towards the Supreme Lord and His devotees. So this entire spiritual journey is from material attachments towards spiritual attachments. And here, Vidura is a perfect example of one who is detached from the material facilities available at place. For decades, he was faithfully serving Dhritarashtra and the entire Kaurava race. But when he saw that the time has come where he has to quit and take shelter of Supreme Lord, he immediately gave up everything, even without a tinge of pain or agony that, oh, I have to leave the entire facilities which are available now. I'll be going to a forest. How will I have my own food? Where will I rest? Or what kind of clothing I'll have? What kind of facilities I'll have? So, a person who is performing his duties without attachment, surrendering the results unto the Supreme Lord, is unaffected by any kind of sinful actions, as the lotus leaf is untouched by water. Brahmane adaya karmani sangam tyaktva karotiyah lipyate nasa papena padmapatram ivam bhasha. If one is regularly on daily basis offering whatever activities he is doing for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord, then gradually he will not be touched by any kind of sinful reactions. He is not entitled for any kind of reactions. Like the analogy is given of the lotus leaf which is in the waters, but the water cannot touch it. So as Vidura was pierced by the words of Duryodhan, similarly in Bhagavatam there is another episode of Dhruva Maharaj where Dhruva was also pierced by those arrows, sharp shooting words of his mother Suruchi. So Suruchi says, as Dhruva was climbing the lap of his father who was seated on the throne, and his brother Uttam was also seated on the other lap. So Dhruva is trying to climb the lap. So Suruchi is saying, Navatsa nirpater dhishnyam. You cannot climb this throne. Bhavan arodam arhati. Na grihito maya yatvam kukshav api nirpatmajaha. Because you have not born from my womb, you are not entitled to climb the throne of your father. That was the sharp shooting words she said, because she was a stepmother of Dhruva. So, if you want to fulfill this desire, you have to die and again take birth from my womb, and then maybe you will be blessed to have that opportunity. So, in this discussion, Maitreya Rishi continues. He says that just as a snake which is struck by a stick breathes very heavily. Similarly, Dhruv Maharaj, having struck by the strong words of his stepmother, began to breathe very heavily because of great anger. And when he saw that his father was also not cooperating there, he immediately left that place and he went to his mother, Suniti. And when Suniti saw that this was a scenario, she told him that you can be only saved by the grace of Supreme Lord, so better is you go and seek for his shelter. So in the purpose, Srila Prabhupada mentions that unless one is favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one cannot achieve any success in life. Whether it is material or spiritual, it has to be granted by the mercy of the Supreme Lord. So Suruchi, in one way, indirectly, is giving benediction to Dhruv Maharaj that you go and explore for being a devotee. You try to be a devotee, practice devotional life. There was a saint, blind saint, whose name was Srila Bilvamangal Thakur. He was very much attached to a prostitute, Chintamani. And eventually, during one occasion, she herself became the guru of Bilvamangal Thakur, and she says that you're so much attached to me that in the flooding waters you have taken the shelter of a dead body and you have passed the river. You crossed the river and you came to me. So if you had so much attachment for the Supreme Lord, your life would have changed by then now. And then when he heard these words of Chintamani, Chale jao Vrindavan, she says that. And then he leaves for Vrindavan. So, in everyone's life, we need a turning point. Like in the life of Manigri and Nalkuvar also. When they were sporting in the Mandakini Ganga, Narad Muni appears there, and seeing their pitiable situation, he curses them. Although he gives them the benediction that Lord Krishna will give them liberation. So that was a turning point in their life. Similarly, in all of our lives, everything was going very smooth, we feel so. And suddenly there is some obstacle, some challenge, some calamity, and then there is a turning point in our life. A devotee interferes, he intervenes into our life, and then we start changing our route. Srila Prabhupada, he would be writing BTG magazines in the initial years. And it was like a pamphlet only, 4-page pamphlet. But then someone, when he was distributing in a hotel, in a restaurant, someone told that, Swamiji, why don't you make it a book and distribute it? And Srila Prabhupada heard it as if his Guru Maharaj is speaking to him. Krishna is speaking through that person. So in our lives also, we may not find any very aristocratic or a very established devotee would interfere into our life and he will teach us some lessons. Maybe a bypasser will also give us some lesson, some indication that please mend your ways. So a devotee can be sent in our life in any way. We don't know. But we just receive that message and try to reform ourselves, then we can start our journey of giving up our attachments. Now we'll go to the next section, which is Karna Baner. So, Duryodhana was shooting arrows over Vidura, in the words of, in the form of words which were humiliating, which were insulting. Although Vidura was his uncle in one way. So Krishna can send arrows in the form of silence many a times, in form of words and the form of actions also. So in which way those arrows will pierce our heart, we don't know. So we have this incident in Bhagavatam where the Supreme Lord's forgiveness is being checked. So the assembly of Devatas and Rishis, they were discussing that who is Supreme Lord, whether it is Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva or Lord Vishnu. And they appoint Bhrigu Muni to go and do this analysis. So Bhrigu goes to Lord Brahma, who is his father, and Brahma, he was very happy, delighted to receive his son. But then Bhrigu didn't offer any respects to him. He didn't offer any prayers to him, although he was his father. And that made Brahma a bit angry, which could be perceived from his facial expressions. So Bhrigu understood that I have provoked this person, my father. Then he goes to Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva sees that my younger brother is coming. So he gets off his throne and he wants to embrace him. And Bhrigu says that you be there, you don't come near to me, because you stay in a very filthy place. You roam around in crematorium, and all kind of vicious creatures are around in your body. So Shiva became annoyed, and he just tried to pick up his trident, and then controlled his anger. So Bhrigu watched that Shiva could not tolerate the offense in words which was done. And then finally Bhrigu goes to Shvetadvip, and Lord Vishnu was lying on the Anantasesh. Bhrigu directly walks towards Vishnu, and with his feet he punches on the chest of Lord Vishnu. And Lord Vishnu, immediately he gets up and he begs for forgiveness that, oh Bhrigu, my heart is hard-hearted, stone-hearted, so it must have created pain in your feet. Let me massage your feet. And he took his feet and he was massaging the feet of Lord Bhrigu. So that time Bhrigu understood that he is the one chosen Supreme Lord, because he is not provoked by the provoking situations. He is tolerant enough. So he went back and he unanimously declared this to the assembly. So when we deal with people, many a times we speak harsh words. We happen to speak harsh words. More than our words, the tone in which it is spoken or the intention with which it is spoken plays an important role. So Duryodhana's intentions was to hurt, humiliate and blaspheme Vidura here and chastise him. In our lives also we must have received so much of harsh words from people outside and from devotees in our community. Even from our seniors, our authorities also. So, in the case of devotees, we can at least have some assurance that they are purely on the platform of correcting us, to help us to reform and change. A person may be very expert in speaking. I can be using very flowery and very sweet language. But if his intention is not good, not pure, then he may cause damage to us. But if a person has good intention and is very expert in speaking, that is very good. It's best. But if a person is expert in speaking but his intentions are evil, then he is like that snake which is decorated by jewels. Maninam bhushanam sarpa kim ashno bhayankara. So a serpent, when we see that lot of jewels are there, we may go and get attracted to steal those jewels from the serpent. But eventually we land up in trouble by allowing ourselves to be killed by that bite of the serpent. So similarly, one may be very flowery in his words usage, but if his intentions are not pure, it is like the serpent which is decorated with jewels. So sometimes people with demoniac propensities have material skills and expertise, and we are allured, we are attracted towards them. That he's a very good speaker, he's a very good game changer. And we start appreciating people who don't have a slightest background of devotional practice. We may appreciate them for whatever God-gifted talent they have, but if their intentions are not pure, then they will cause damage either today or tomorrow eventually. Because Kali Yuga is blessed with Shabda Chapalyam. So everyone has that smartness of usage of words. And if jugglery of those words allure us, we'll be attracted. But if we restrain and try to check the person and then hear or absorb the message he is giving, then it will benefit us. In Ramayana, if we see, Kaikeyi, Kaushalya and Sumitra, they all loved Lord Ram like anything. Until unless Manthara programmed the brain of Kaikeyi, that you will lose your presence, you will lose all your facilities if Kaushalya becomes Rajmata, if Lord Ram is coronated as the prince king. So, when Dashrath Maharaj, when he hears those piercing words, those two benedictions which he asks, that let Bharat become the crown prince and Ram be banished for exile. So as soon as he hears those piercing words, he gets disturbed and he suffers great agony for a while. For a moment he is not able to realize where he is, what he is going through and what he has heard. He wanted to again reconcile whether she spoke the same benedictions. He has asked for the same benedictions. And eventually, when this discussion was happening, Dashrath Maharaj, he appeared as if he is suffering like a deer who is been attacked by a lion. So Kaikeyi words felt as if a lion is roaring before her, and the deer is feeling that pain, that agony. Because of that, it's crying. Similarly, here Dashrath Maharaj was also crying. And then eventually, Dashrath Maharaj glorifies Lord Ram. He says that Lord Ram has so many good qualities. How can you think of banishing him? Truthfulness, Satyam, Danam, Tapas, Yoga, Vitrata, Shauchamarjavam, Vidyava, Guru Shushusha, Dhruvayetena, Raghave. That he has so many good qualities like truthfulness, charity, austerity, sacrifice. And he respects his elders also. How can you say that he has to be banished, he doesn't have good qualities? So Dashrath Maharaj lost his equilibrium, Santulan. He lost it. So Srila Prabhupada in Krishna book he mentions that one's greatness has to be estimated by one's ability to tolerate provoking situations. So from a spiritual point of view, this meaning of tolerance is a very great virtue. We all should try to imbibe. So greatness doesn't mean how much we earn or how many elections we win or how many matches we score. Greatness is how we can tolerate when situations are quite provoking. So tolerance is non-different from forgiveness. So if we are forgiving someone, that means we are tolerating that situation also. So I'll speak a bit on this virtue of tolerance. So this tolerance, it develops in an individual when he is quite young. Hmm? Because when we are small, we are small babies, so someone comes and he pulls out your cheek, and he wants to play with you. Someone plays with our belly also. Many a times these kind of incidents are quite provoking. And from that time we start learning what tolerance is actually. And gradually as we grow, we start to imbibe them, and our limit to tolerate things also gradually increases. And in our spiritual journey also, when we begin day one, gradually every day, whatever experiences we go through, good, it's better. If they are bad experiences, something we have heard, something we have been told to do, so in that situation we have to simply tolerate. So we'll see now what are the various aspects of tolerance, and how we have, what kind of tools we can utilize to tolerate in those situations. So the first thing we will see is tolerating dualities of life. So few days back we had rainy season, and now winter is going to start, and then summer will come. There is always pain and pleasure. There is sukha dukkha. Hai? So duality is always there in our life. So we can tolerate dualities through 3R, 3R formula. The first one is realize that this material world is going to give us problems. But Krishna says in Gita, dukkhalem ashashvatam. So we can't find sukha in this material world. So that is why even in the second chapter, Krishna says, matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkhada agama apayana anitya tam titikshasva bharata. They'll come and go. You don't need to invite them, you don't need to send them back also. They'll come by own and they'll go by their own. So just tolerate. So for that we have to realize first that this material world will always give us problems. Second is to reconcile. Reconcile that this is a temporary phase in my life. This happiness will also go away, and the distress will come. Distress will go, and again happiness will come. So the ultimate happiness a jiva can experience is when he goes back to the kingdom of God. So reconciling that, this moment will also pass away. And third is to repent. Repent for whatever I am going through, why I am here in this material world, because of my past mischievous deeds we have done, the past bad karma. I have to just tolerate the trouble, the calamities which they are coming in our life, all the dualities which are there in my life. I made an original mistake. I rebelled against the Supreme Lord in the spiritual kingdom, and I came to the material world. And now the only solution is tolerate and surrender. The next aspect is tolerating calamities in our life. So calamities can come in the form of health issues. They can come in the form of demise of any family member, or loss of a job, or loss of assets. It can come in any way. So how do we tolerate calamities? First thing is to have strength. All these calamities are sent by the Supreme Lord. And if you take shelter of the Supreme Lord, this vipatti, the problem, the challenge which we are going through now, can be transformed into sampatti, which is the shelter of the Supreme Lord. Like we have this example of a silkworm trying to come out of the cocoon. It fights with itself. And so much of bleeding happens, so much of harm happens to its body, various organs. But finally, when the wings are open up, that silkworm converts into a butterfly, right? So, when we keep struggling, fighting with the challenges, the calamities which come up in our life, that is when we develop a lot of strength. And that strength converts our vipatti into sampatti. Second thing is to savor. Savor means to relish the sweetness of the Supreme Lord. So Krishna wants us to relish his sweetness in all kinds of situations. Whether there is a pinprick or there is a huge accident damaging our organs, Krishna wants us to appreciate the grace he has given in our life. Many a times when we start tasting something in our plate, so when you eat karela, which is bitter, and after that you taste a rasgulla, so your mouth's taste changes from bitterness to sweetness. So till now we have been experiencing heavy downpour of rain in last 4 months, and suddenly there is sunlight. So as the sunlight enters into our life, there is energy which grows into our body. So when calamities come, if we turn our face towards Krishna, then Lord will allow us to taste the sweetness he is showering on us. So vipatti will transform into sampatti. And thirdly, by becoming soft-hearted. We have to understand that Krishna always wants to help us. And as soon as we take shelter, Krishna also stretches his helping hand to us. And in that scenario, if we are supposed to have a huge amount of reactions to be bored, Krishna will give you a sample, a small sample can be given to us. He reduces the reactions which we have to bear. So he just blesses us with some token. That is soft-heartedness of Krishna. Thirdly, tolerating criticism, as is in the case of Vidura here. So the first element which we can implement on ourselves is to improve. If someone criticizes us, we have to take it with a benefit of doubt that maybe there is some truth in that criticism. So let me see how I can improve on those elements which has been pointed out. Second thing is by being careful not to repeat it again. Whatever criticism I have heard about myself may not be true or may be true also, but Krishna is telling it through someone that don't do it, don't repeat it, or be very cautious about it. And thirdly, understanding that it is my karma and it is going to come this way or some other way, better is to take shelter of the Supreme Lord. So when criticism comes, let's pray that please give me shelter, give me strength to face this situation. And finally, tolerating people who are around us. So the first sutra for this is focusing on the strength and good of other people. Magnifying it, whatever good they have. Secondly, neglect their weaknesses, keep them away. Because if we try to focus on the weaknesses and the negative qualities of others, we will also develop or will imbibe those qualities one day. Thirdly, by cultivating appreciation towards those people who are around us and whom we feel that we are not able to gel with them, because when there are two egos together, there will be some kind of friction. So appreciation means to accept the person as it is. Whatever they are, just accept them. And don't try to accept them the way you want them to be. If we accept them for whatever they are, then they will also accept us one day for whatever we are. So we all are staying together, living together, having close relationship with different kinds of egos, staying in a closed chamber. So if we start tolerating someone, we also will be tolerated by someone one day. So cultivate appreciation towards other people who are staying with us. So that is why Krishna speaks about this great quality of titikshva, tolerance, because this titikshva or tolerance can give us the route towards liberation. Yam hi nahi vatyantante ete purusham purushar sabha samad dukkha sukham dhiram so amritavya kalpate. So any individual who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation. We'll come to the last aspect for today's discussion, that is Gata Vyatho. So Vidura was not feeling sorry for whatever has happened in the Sabha. He was being insulted, humiliated, he was criticized. So in the episode of Parikshit Maharaj, when he was cursed by Shringi, it's mentioned, Tiraskrita vipralabdha shapta kshipta hata api na asya tat pratikurvanti tad bhaktaha prabhovapi hi. So a devotee of the Lord is so forbearing, he is so tolerant that even though he is defamed, he is being cheated, he is cursed, disturbed, neglected, or even killed, he never is inclined to avenge or take revenge from others. So here, Shamak Rishi was considering, as Prabhupada mentions the purport, that if in return Parikshit Maharaj would have cursed, then his son's reactions would have minimized. But Parikshit Maharaj, being a great devotee, he could not do that. He understood that this is the will of the Lord, will of the providence. I have to just tolerate it. So, in the same lines, Vidura was undoubtedly a highly elevated and pious soul. Otherwise, how could he have taken birth? Janma Aishwarya Shruti Shribhir. So, he was born in a high parentage. He possessed a lot of wealth as being the minister of Kuru dynasty. He was very learned because he was Dharmaraj himself. And these pious credits which he had earned, it helped him to be in the vicinity of Kuru, Kauravas. But then he understood that one day I will be also dethroned because of my karma, whatever previous quota of karma is being left. So Vidura also reacted in the way where Parikshit Maharaj is also responding to. So in Chanakya Niti, it is mentioned that how the gold is being tested. So yata chaturbhi kanakam parikshate nigharshanam chedanam tapa tadayan tata chaturbhi purushaiva parikshate tyagena shilena gunena karmana. As the gold is tested in 4 ways: by rubbing, by cutting, by heating, and by beating. So a man should be tested by these 4 things: his renunciation, his conduct, his qualities, and his actions. So Vidura was an example of this. He was the epitome of renunciation, good conduct, good qualities, and his willful actions. So, how do we imbibe this great quality of forgiveness? The first thing is to realize that I am not this body, I am a spirit soul. So, whatever insult, chastisement, criticism is coming to us is because of is to the body and not to the soul. That kind of mindset we have to develop. So when we are on the platform of soul, then nothing can touch the soul, right? As per the nature of the soul. And secondly, we should not blame others for the instrument of our own karma. We are supposed to bear those reactions, and someone intervenes and he passes on that message of our karma, which we have to bear. So, I'm just going to speak something from an expert, excerpts of a lecture by His Holiness Radha Swami Maharaj, where he speaks about the art of forgiveness. So this virtue of forgiveness can be developed when one has pure devotion in heart. So there are two elements which are responsible for forgiveness. One is dainya and other is daya. So dainya is humility. Humility means I am very insignificant and God is great. I am Anu, the Lord is Vibhu. I am like a drop of ocean and the Lord is like the Indian Ocean. I am very much wretched and very fallen. I don't deserve what God's mercy is all upon me. And for that I have to completely depend on the Lord and His devotees. And that is the greatest hope. If we see in the life of Manigriv and Nalakubar also, they were in the enjoyment mood in Mandakini Ganga. After being cursed, they became Yamal Arjun trees in the courtyard of Nanda Baba. So when they came down to this material world, they were having all kind of controllership there. And now they are helpless. They had all kind of facilities. They can roam around anywhere. But now they are bound to the specific position where the roots are. So these two trees, eventually with every sunrise and sunset, were having a hope that maybe Krishna will liberate us today. And with that ray of hope, they were continuing. And they were doing all kind of prayashchitta. And they were understanding that this was the grace of Narad Muni and the Supreme Lord that we are being punished like this. So we don't have any qualification, we are very fallen, and that is why we are here. So that kind of mentality is dainya, where we understand that we have nothing, we possess nothing, we don't have any qualification, no qualities. It is because of the devotees and the Guru that we are doing something substantial for the pleasure. And the second element is daya. So Maharaj mentions that bhakti is the tender affection of the heart towards Krishna or God. So whatever affection we carry, the tenderness in heart is because of bhakti. And daya is that tenderness towards other living entities also. And all the great souls who have lived in this world, they all have exemplified this virtue of daya. Jiva daya, Krishnam sarvadharma sara. So when we develop this daya towards other living entities, gradually the tenderness of the heart also will grow. So when this humility, that is dainya and daya, which is daya, which is compassion, they both come together. That is when we develop this virtue of kshama or forgiveness. So tolerance and forgiveness comes with humility and compassion towards other living beings. Wherever there is envy, there is revengeful attitude, hatred, daya or dainya cannot fructify there. So although a devotee goes through all kind of impediments, all kind of challenges, struggles in life, his only prayer is what Brahmaji is praying. Tatte anukampa susamikshamano bhunjan evatma kritam vipakam hridvag vapubhir viddam namaste jivete yo mukti padesa daya bhag. So my Lord, whatever tribulations, whatever turbulent times or painful situations I am going through, all these difficulties is because of my past deeds. So please bless me that I could seek your shelter. Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagwan ki. And one who seeks shelter of the Supreme Lord in such kind of situations, he is entitled for liberation. And we have seen this forgiveness being demonstrated by great souls like Yudhishthir Maharaj, Parikshit Maharaj, Nityananda Prabhu when Jagai and Madhai attacked him in Navadvip, Srila Haridas Thakur when he was beaten in 22 marketplaces, Amrish Maharaj when he was being attacked by that fierce demon created by Durvasa Muni. And now we see that how Mahatma Vidura is exemplifying this great quality of forgiveness. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande.